Picture yourself sinking into the soft embrace of your bed, the world outside fading as a gentle wave of calm washes over you. Welcome to History Orbit, where we spin tales of the past so soothing they cradle you into sleep. If you love drifting off to the quiet hum of history, hit that subscribe button and join our orbit of dreamers. Tonight, we're stepping into Deadwood, South Dakota in 1876. A gold rush town pulsing with ambition and grit. You're not a spectator, you're there, waking in the Starlight Rose, a brothel tucked on the edge of this raucous settlement. The air is thick with the scent of faded lilac perfume, clinging to the walls like a memory that won't let go. This isn't the glittering saloon of Western legends, where feather-clad women flirt with dashing cowboys. No, this is the raw, unvarnished truth of the Shadow Roses, as the women here were called. Women who fought to survive in a world that needed them yet scorned them. Settle deeper into your pillows, let your eyes grow heavy, and imagine the creak of a worn floorboard beneath your feet. Where are you listening from? Drop your city and time in the comments. We're always curious who's drifting off with us. Maybe someone in Sydney or Seattle, letting history lull them to sleep. Now, let's begin. Your eyes flutter open to the sound of a dry, persistent cough, not yours, but echoing from the 5 other women sharing this cramped second-floor room. The air feels stale, heavy with the musk of unwashed linens and the faint tang of coal smoke seeping through a cracked window. You're lying on a sagging mattress, barely wide enough for 2, your body pressed against Eliza, a quiet woman from St. Louis whose past remains a mystery, even to you. The room, one of 3 in the Starlight Rose, is no larger than a modest parlor, yet it holds 6 women, 3 lumpy beds, and a single chipped porcelain basin in the corner. They call these places cribs, a name that feels cruelly apt, for they're as confining as a child's cot, but stripped of any innocence. Your back aches from the thin straw stuffing beneath you, and your head rests on a folded cloth, a poor substitute for the plush pillow waiting for you back home. The sheets are rough, stained despite efforts to scrub them, carrying the weight of countless nights you'd rather not think about. Rise and shine, ladies, comes the voice of Madame Clara, sharp but not unkind, cutting through the morning haze. She stands in the doorway, her broad silhouette filling the frame, a woman whose years in the trade have carved lines of pragmatism into her face. Miners are coming off the night shift soon, she says, her tone all business, best be ready. Deadwood, born from the Black Hills gold rush, is a town that never sleeps, its streets alive with men chasing dreams of wealth. In 1876, men outnumber women 10 to 1 here, a stark imbalance that makes the Starlight Rose both a necessity and a target of disdain. The math is brutal, simple, unyielding. Where there are lonely men with gold dust in their pockets, women like you arrive to meet their needs, trading companionship for survival in a world that offers few other paths. The room stirs slowly, bodies moving with the sluggishness of exhaustion. Eliza groans beside you, her breath sour from last night's whiskey. My head's pounding, she mutters, pulling herself up. She's been in this life for years, a veteran at 22, when most don't last half that long before disease, violence, or despair claims them. Past the laudanum, calls Violet from the next bed, her voice hoarse, and you catch sight of a small brown bottle passed hand to hand, its sweet, syrupy contents a dangerous comfort. Laudanum, opium dissolved in alcohol, is their medicine, their escape, their slow poison, easing pain but tethering many to addiction. You don't touch it, not yet, though the temptation lingers like a whisper in the back of your mind. Eliza nudges you, my turn at the basin, she says, dragging herself across the room. The washing situation is grim, a single basin with 2 inches of tepid water for all 6 of you. By the time the last woman reaches it, the water will be a murky grey, a soup of dirt and desperation. Still, you try, because in the 1870s, cleanliness is a luxury, and Shadow Roses like you hold to higher standards than most. Bathing for the average Deadwood resident is a monthly affair, if that, but here, hygiene is a business necessity, a fragile defense against the diseases that haunt your every step. You splash your face, the water cold against your skin, and feel the grit of yesterday's dust dissolve, if only slightly. Across the room, Hannah dips her finger into a shared pot of tooth powder, a gritty mix of baking soda, and Ash, scrubbing her teeth with a vigor that speaks of routine rather than hope. The sounds of Deadwood filter through the thin walls, the clatter of wagon wheels, the distant shout of a prospector, the restless neigh of a horse tied outside a saloon. This isn't Boston or New York with their cobblestone streets and gaslight order. This is a town carved from mud and ambition, where fortunes are won and lost in a single night, and people, especially women like you, are as disposable as the tailings left behind in the mines. Heard the Bullock brothers might be passing through, says young Leela, barely 16, pinning her dark hair with trembling fingers. Last time they were here, they tore through half the whiskey in one night, Eliza replies, her voice flat, and broke a chair at the Gem. The room falls quiet at the mention of the Gem, a rival brothel down the street, rougher, cheaper, where the women work in shacks barely larger than coffins. Violence is a constant shadow in your world, not the dramatic shootouts of dime novels, but the quiet, personal kind, a client's temper flaring, a fist raised, a knife drawn. Lawmen in Deadwood have bigger concerns, gold disputes, claim jumpers. Keeping the saloons from burning down, protecting Shadow Roses isn't on their list. Madame Clara appears again, her presence commanding. Enough chatter, she says, time to get dressed. Eliza, take the green dress today. Leela, the burgundy suits you better. These aren't the silken gowns of myth, no feather boas or satin trains. Just sturdy cotton dresses with necklines cut low enough to draw eyes, but practical enough to endure the rough hands of miners. The high-class parlor houses of San Francisco might boast lace and velvet, but in Deadwood, you make do with what's durable, affordable, replaceable. Look what I found, Hannah says, holding up a tin of rouge, ordered it from Cheyenne. Cost me a week's earnings. Cosmetics are a gamble here, often laced with lead or mercury. A rosy glow that might slowly poison you, but appearance is currency and you take the risk. Dabbing color on cheeks to mask the pallor of sleepless nights. Check them for source first, Madame Clara calls as she heads downstairs to open the saloon. And always make them pay up front. It's not just about money, it's about survival. Venereal diseases like syphilis, known here as the Black Curse, spread like wildfire with no cure. Only treatments that burn more than they heal. A client who doesn't pay might turn violent. And you've heard too many stories of women beaten or worse for trusting too much. Your stomach rumbles as you join the rush to the basin. Breakfast will be whatever's left in the kitchen, maybe hardtack and thin coffee if you're lucky. Madame Clara runs a decent house, better than most. Her girls eat better than the crib women on the town's edge who survive on scraps and desperation. You help Eliza with a corset, her ribs sharp under your fingers. This isn't the elegant hourglass of Eastern fashion plates, just a practical garment to shape the body for business. Not too tight, she whispers, had a girl faint once client thought she was dead, nearly started a riot. The bell from the ASSI office rings 7 times, signaling the end of the night shift. Miners will soon flood the streets, pockets heavy with gold dust or wages, eager to spend on whiskey and company. Used to think I'd marry a merchant, Leela says with a hollow laugh, braiding her hair. No one responds, the room heavy with unspoken dreams, dress shops, boarding houses. Lives where you're not called a Shadow Rose. I'm saving up, Eliza says softly, almost to herself, 3 more months. Maybe a tailoring shop in Cheyenne. It's a mantra, a prayer, though few ever escape. The money is good, better than a seamstress's $2 a week. But the costs room, board, dresses, doctor's fees, bribes to keep the law away. Eat away at every dollar. You powder your face, hiding the shadows under your eyes, and glance at the room. No longer a grim dormitory, but a workplace, functional, ready for the night ahead. Last one down gets the first miner off shift. Madame Clara calls from below, and trust me, you don't want Blackjack before he's washed that mine dust off. There's a scramble for the stairs, a rustle of skirts, a cloud of cheap perfume. You follow, stepping carefully on boards worn smooth by countless feet, descending into the saloon where the day, your night, begins. The saloon is being swept, the air sharp with dust and stale beer. A battered piano waits in the corner for the player who'll arrive at noon. Amos, the bartender, a former prospector with a limp and a crooked smile, nods as you enter. Got a new keg tapped? He says. Whiskey shipment came in too. Alcohol is the lifeblood of the Starlight Rose, dulling edges for clients and women alike, making the unbearable bearable, though it's a slippery path to laudanum's grip. Shadows move outside the frosted windows, miners waiting, their faces smudged with the black earth of the Black Hills. Fix your smile, Madame Clara murmurs, nobody pays for sorrow. It's the unspoken rule, you sell not just your time, but the illusion of joy of desire. A performance as exhausting as any physical labor. The doors swing open, sunlight cutting through the gloom like a blade, and Leela calls out, "Well, hello, gentlemen," her voice bright, practiced, nothing like the tired girl upstairs moments ago. Looking for some company tonight? The day has begun, and you step into it, your heart steady, your smile fixed, ready for the long night ahead in the Starlight Rose. Feel the soft weight of your blankets, the quiet hum of your room pulling you deeper into calm. You're with History Orbit, where we unravel the past in gentle whispers to ease you towards sleep. The doors of the Starlight Rose have just swung open, sunlight spilling across the worn saloon floor in Deadwood, South Dakota, 1876. The air carries the sharp bite of dust and stale whiskey, mingling with the faint sweetness of lilac perfume from the women descending the creaking stairs. You're not just listening, you're there, one of the shadow roses as they're called, stepping into the rhythm of a day that's more like night, a life of survival woven with fleeting moments of connection. The first miners, their faces smudged with Black Hills earth, wait outside, their shadows shifting through frosted windows. Madame Clara's voice, firm yet steady, lingers in your ears. Fix your smile, nobody pays for sorrow. You adjust your cotton dress, the burgundy fabric rough against your skin, and take a breath, ready to face the long hours ahead. But before the saloon fills with laughter and clinking glasses, there's a quieter time, a morning of rituals that keep you and the others alive in this unforgiving world. Let your eyes grow heavy, imagine the cool touch of a chipped porcelain basin, and let the steady cadence of this tale carry you further into rest. The saloon below is still, save for Amos, the bartender, sweeping sawdust across the floor, his limp softening each step. You pause on the stairs, the wood smooth under your palm, worn by countless journeys like this one. Upstairs, the cramped room you share with Eliza, Leela, Hannah, Violet, and Mary feels a world away. Its stale air and sagging mattresses already fading into memory as you prepare for the day. Water's here, Madame Clara calls from the kitchen, her voice cutting through the morning haze, and a ripple of urgency stirs the house. In Deadwood, fresh water is as precious as the gold dust men die for, hauled in wooden buckets by carriers who charge by the gallon. You descend the last steps, joining Leela at the kitchen door where a weary man unloads his cargo. The buckets glinting in the pale light. 12 gallons, Mum, he says, tipping his hat to Madame Clara, usual rate. You do the math, 12 gallons for 6 women, plus cooking and cleaning, barely 2 gallons each. A fraction of what your modern shower pours out in moments. Bring extra tomorrow, Madame Clara replies, counting coins into his palm. Got a new claim opening up, minus will be filthier than usual. You and Leela each grab a bucket, the handles biting into your hands. Water sloshing as you climb back upstairs. Your arms tremble, but you're careful. Every drop is a small fortune in this dry, dusty town. Fill the hip bath first, Madame Clara directs. Lila's got a merchant coming at noon, pays double for a clean girl. The hip bath, a dented tin tub in the corner of the largest bedroom, is a luxury too small to stretch out in, but a rarity in 1870s Deadwood. Leela gets first use, her youth and delicate features making her a favorite for wealthier clients. Then the rest of you, in order of seniority, will share the same grain water until it's fit only for scrubbing floors. Set the kettle on, Madame Clara adds, should be hot in an hour. While the water heats, you turn to the morning's other tasks, rituals that define life in the Starlight Rose, not the romanticized flirtations of legend, but the gritty work of staying alive. The room hums with quiet activity, Hannah shaking out a dress, Violet sorting a pile of stained linens, Eliza pinning her hair with steady fingers. You reach for the basin, its water already cloudy from Lila's turn, and scrub your arms with a scrap of coarse soap, the lice stinging your skin. Hygiene here isn't about comfort, it's about survival. A thin shield against the diseases that lurk in every hurried transaction. In a time when most folks in Deadwood bathe only when the creek runs warm, Shadow Rose is like you wash daily, a fact that sets you apart, not out of vanity, but necessity. Your business depends on it, clients expect it, and Madame Clara enforces it. Her practical eye missing nothing. Past the tooth powder, Mary calls, her voice rough from a night of smoke and laughter. You hand her the small tin, its contents a gritty mix of baking soda, salt, and ash, the closest thing to toothpaste in a world where dental care is a luxury. She dips her finger in, rubbing it across her teeth, the faint scrape audible in the quiet room. Toothpaste, as you know it, won't exist for years, and even then, it'll be too costly for women like you. Still, you follow suit, the powder bitter on your tongue, a small act of defiance against the decay that claims so many in this life. The sounds of Deadwood grow louder outside, the clatter of a wagon, the bark of a stray dog, the distant thud of a stamp mill crushing ore. This town, built on gold and greed, moves at a relentless pace, and you're part of its machinery. A cog in an economy that thrives on men's loneliness. Got a new ribbon, Hannah says, holding up a strip of faded blue silk. Traded it for a bottle of scent at the general store. She ties it into her hair, the small gesture a spark of individuality in a world that tries to strip it away. Cosmetics and adornments are your armor, but they come at a cost, not just in coin, but in health. The rouge you dab on your cheeks, the kohl you trace around your eyes, often hide poisons, lead. Mercury, arsenic, promising beauty while sowing sickness. Yet you apply them, because a pale face, a tired eye, means fewer clients, less money. A quicker slide into the cribs at the town's edge, where women work for pennies in shacks barely standing. Madame Clara reappears, her heavy tread announcing her before she reaches the doorway. Linens to the backyard, she says, and glasses need washing before noon. You nod, joining Violet to gather the sheets from last night. Their stains a silent record of the hours you'd rather forget. In the backyard, a small patch of dirt enclosed by a sagging fence. You fill it up with water from the buckets, adding lye soap that burns your hands red. The sheets are boiled, stirred with a stick, the steam rising in clouds that smell of ash and effort. This labor, grueling and unglamorous, is part of what keeps the Starlight Rose running, cleaner than the saloons or boarding houses nearby, because disease is a thief that steals profit as surely as it steals lives. Back inside, you help Hannah wash the saloon's glasses, the water cold, the soap slick between your fingers. The kitchen, dominated by a massive iron stove, is the heart of the house. Its scarred table a gathering place for meals and moments of quiet. Breakfast waits, a simple spread of cornmeal mush, a strip of salt pork, and coffee so black it stains the tin mugs. You eat quickly, no lingering over flavors like you might at home. Time is money. And every minute not spent preparing is a minute lost to earning. God, I miss bread, Leela sighs, pushing her mush around the plate. My ma used to bake it fresh every Sunday. Nobody responds, but the silence holds a shared ache, memories of lives left behind of mothers, sisters, homes that exist only in dreams now. Many of you came here fleeing worse abuse, poverty, abandonment. A world where women's options were as narrow as the streets of Deadwood. Eliza catches your eye, her face soft for a moment. Pass the coffee, she says, and you hand her the pot, the small active thread of connection in this makeshift family. After breakfast, you turn to mending, a constant task in a house where dresses endure rough handling. You sit by the window, sunlight filtering through grimy glass, and thread a needle to repair a tear in your green dress. The fabric is sturdy, but the neckline sags. A flaw Madame Clara noted yesterday. Mind the stitches. She'd said, clients notice sloppiness. You work carefully, the needle's rhythm soothing. A rare moment of focus in a life of chaos. Across the room, Mary sorts through a box of cosmetics. Discarding a dried-out pot of rouge, this stuff's useless, she mutters, smells like rancid fat. Perfume, too, is a battle. The heavy floral scents you dab behind your ears meant to mask the odor of unwashed bodies. Yours and theirs, in a town where daily baths are a fantasy. You recall a bottle of rose water Eliza shared last week. It's scent faint but clean. A luxury she'd saved for months to buy. Heard there's a new doctor in town, Violet says, breaking the quiet. Works out of the Bella Union. Doesn't report to the marshal. The room stills, every woman alert. A discreet doctor is a lifeline. One who won't betray you to lawmen eager to collect fines or worse. What's he charge? Madame Clara asks, her voice sharp. Ever the businesswoman? Same as Doc Ellis, Violet replies, but without the lectures. Find out more. Madame Clara says, might be worth a visit. Medical care is a constant worry. Venereal diseases like the black curse or gonorrhea are rampant. Their treatments, mercury, arsenic, often worse than the illness, causing trembling hands. Lost teeth, minds that fray like old rope. You shudder, recalling a girl at the gem who drank mercury until her gums bled, thinking it would cure her, only to vanish into the night. Another shadow rose lost to history. Got something for my monthly, Mary announces, pulling a cloth packet from under her mattress. Anyone need some? The packet holds dried tansy and pennyroyal, herbs brewed into bitter teas to prevent pregnancy. A dangerous necessity in a life where a child means ruin, no work, no money, no future. You take a pinch, tucking it into your pocket, the act as routine as brushing your hair. Though the herb's toxicity lingers in your mind, too much could kill. But the alternative is worse. The hip bath is ready now, steam rising from the tub as Leela strips down. Her movements unself-conscious, privacy a luxury none of you can afford. Sweet mercy, she sighs, sinking into the water, worth the work just for this. You smile, the gallows humor a bomb. You've all made similar jokes. What else can you do when the world sees you as disposable? Eliza sits nearby, mending a petticoat, while Hannah polishes a pair of worn boots, each task a small rebellion against the chaos of your lives. The water in the tub grays quickly, but you'll use it after Leela, then Violet, then the rest, making do with what's left. Clean is a relative term here, but it's better than nothing. Better than the crib girls who wash in muddy creek water, their skin raw from the effort. Amos appears at the doorway, a crate balanced on his shoulder. Got something for you ladies. He says, a drummer dropped these off. Inside are bottles labeled Doctor. Harper's female tonic, dark liquid promising relief from every ailment. Likely just alcohol and opium dressed up as medicine. How much? Madame Clara asks, her eyes narrowing. Paid for, Amos shrugs. Call it an investment. Can't have you girls sick. The words are practical, not kind. A brothel without workers is a brothel without profit, and Amos knows it. You take a bottle, the glass cool in your hand, but don't drink, not yet. The promise of relief is tempting, but you've seen too many women lean to hard-on tonics, their eyes dull, their steps unsteady. Tastes like tar and regret, Hannah says, uncorking hers for a sip, but she keeps it. False hope better than none in a world where real medicine is scarce. The morning wears on, tasks blending into one another, washing, mending, polishing, preparing. You sweep the saloon floor, the broom's bristles worn thin, sawdust sticking to your skirt. The piano sits silent, its keys yellowed, waiting for the player who'll coax tinny tunes from it by noon. Outside, Deadwood pulses, the assay office bell ringing 8, 9, 10. Marking the hours until the night shift miners arrive, their wages burning holes in their pockets. You pause, leaning on the broom, and catch Eliz's eye across the room. She's ranging glasses behind the bar, her movements precise, almost graceful. Need help, you ask, crossing to join her. Always, she says, a tired smile flickering, and you work side by side. The clink of glass a steady rhythm, a moment of camaraderie in a life that demands so much. Madame Clara moves through the house, checking each task. Her presence a reminder that this isn't just a home, it's a business. Every detail a cog in its machinery. The linens are boiling, she notes, good, but mind the soap, we're running low. You nod, the cost of supplies another weight on your mind, water, soap, wood for the stove. All nibble at your earnings, leaving less to save for the dream you barely dare name. A life beyond these walls. The kitchen fills with the smell of coffee and grease as Madame Clara stirs a pot of stew for lunch. Better fare than most in Deadwood eat, where scurvy stalks even the wealthy. Thanks to unreliable supplies, you sit with the others, spoons scraping tin bowls, the stew thin but warm, a small comfort. Talk turns to clients, to rumors, to the new marshal who's been sniffing around the saloons, looking for a bribe or a fight. He won't touch us, Violet says, not with half the town council drinking here, but her confidence feels brittle, and you all know it. The Starlight Rose, for all its importance, exists on the edge of tolerance. Its doors open only as long as the town's hypocrisy allows. You finish your meal, clear the table, and return to the bedroom to dress for the evening. The transition from morning's labor to night's performance beginning. Your green dress, mended now, hangs on a peg. Its color faded but still serviceable. You slip it on, the fabric cool against your skin, and adjust the neckline, low but not brazen. Just enough to catch a miner's eye. Eliza helps you with the corset, her fingers deft, not too tight. You remind her and she nods. Remembering the girl who fainted, the panic that followed. You dab rouge on your cheeks, kohl on your eyelids, each stroke a mask, not for beauty, but for survival. The mirror, tarnished and warped, shows a face that feels less like yours each day. But you push the thought aside. There's no room for doubt in the Starlight Rose. Downstairs, the saloon is transforming, lamps lit, sawdust fresh on the floor. The piano player arriving with bleary eyes and a crumpled hat. Madame Clara hands you a small vial of carbolic acid, its sharp smell a promise of protection. Use it after every client, she says, and you tuck it into your pocket. Another ritual, another layer of defense. The first customers will arrive soon, their boots heavy on the porch, their voices loud with anticipation. You take your place near the bar, your smile practiced, your heart steady, ready to step into the role you play each night. The morning's rituals, the washing, the mending, the shared coffee, and quiet laughter have prepared you for this, not just physically, but mentally, a series of small acts that hold you together in a world that tries to tear you apart. As the doors creak open, admitting the first wave of miners, you glance at Eliza, her face composed, her eyes sharp, and feel a flicker of strength. You're not alone, not yet, and that's enough for now. Sink deeper into the quiet of your room. Let the weight of your eyelids pull you toward rest. You're with History Orbit, where we weave the past into gentle tales to lull you into sleep. The Starlight Rose Brothel in Deadwood, South Dakota, 1876, hums with the first stirrings of evening. The saloon's lamps cast a warm, flickering glow across the worn wooden floor, their light catching the glint of glasses lined up behind the bar. You stand near the counter, your green dress smoothed, a faint trace of carbolic acid lingering in your pocket, a reminder of the morning's rituals. Miners begin to trickle in, their boots heavy with Black Hills mud, their voices rough with anticipation. Amos, the bartender, pours whiskey with a steady hand, his crooked smile welcoming yet guarded. Madame Clara moves through the room, her sharp eyes noting every detail, while Eliza, at your side, adjusts her burgundy skirt, her face composed but watchful. The air carries the sharp tang of liquor, the faint sweetness of your rosewater perfume, and the ever-present dust that clings to everything in this gold-rush town. You're one of the shadow roses, as the women here are called, bound by unspoken rules to smile, to charm, to survive. But beneath the performance lies a deeper truth, a web of connections that holds you together, a community forged in the crucible of necessity. As the saloon fills, you step into the intricate social dance of the Starlight Rose, a world where loyalty, rivalry, and resilience shape every interaction. Let your breath slow, imagine the creak of a chair as a miner sits, And let this steady tale carry you closer to dreams. The piano player, a weary man named Jasper with tobacco-stained fingers, settles at the battered instrument in the corner, coaxing a tinny rendition of a familiar tune. Its notes uneven but comforting. Leela, young and quick with a laugh, leans against the bar, her voice bright as she greets her. Regular, well, Tom, you're cleaner than last week, must have found a creek. The miner chuckles, his face softening, and you see the magic of her charm. A skill honed not for joy but for survival. Each woman here plays a role, not just for clients but for each other. A delicate balance of support and competition. You glance at Eliza, her eyes scanning the room, always alert, and feel a quiet strength in her presence. She's been here longest for years. Her steady-handed guide when you first arrived. Pass me a glass, she murmurs, and you hand her one, the clink of crystal a small ritual of teamwork. The Starlight Rose isn't just a workplace, it's a fragile family, bound by shared hardship and the knowledge that no one else in Deadwood will stand for you. The women share everything, not out of kindness alone, but because it's practical. A bottle of laudanum passed hand to hand, a torn petticoat mended by whoever has thread, a warning about a client with a temper. Got a new batch of tansy, Hannah says softly, joining you at the bar. Brewed it last night, enough for everyone. The bitter herb tea, used to prevent pregnancy, is a lifeline. Its risks nausea, trembling, even death, weighed against the certainty of ruin a child would bring. You nod, tucking the information away, the act as routine as checking your rouge. These exchanges, quiet and uncelebrated, are the threads that weave your community, a network invisible to the men who see only your smiles. Beyond the walls, Deadwood society is a different beast, one that needs you yet despises you. The Starlight Rose, like other brothels, is a pillar of the town's economy, its fees and fines filling municipal coffers. In 1876, brothels account for nearly a fifth of Deadwood's revenue, funding schools, roads, even the church whose congregation shuns you. You overhear Amos talking with a miner. Town council's raising the license fee again, he says. Clara's already paid M twice this month. It's a bitter irony. The same women who clutch their shawls tighter when you pass on the street depend on your earnings to keep their town running. Respectable folk, as they call themselves, draw a sharp line. You're necessary but not welcome, vital yet invisible. Got a letter from my sister, Violet says, slipping beside you during a lull. Says I shouldn't come home, not after this. Her voice is steady, but her fingers twist a frayed ribbon, a rare crack in her armor. You touch her arm, no words needed, because you've all heard similar stories, families severed by shame, letters unanswered, names whispered in judgment. The pain is a shared burden, softened by moments like this, a glance, a touch, a reminder you're not alone. Still, there's resilience in your defiance. You call yourselves Shadow Roses, a name born from a late-night jest, a reclaiming of the scorn hurled at you. We bloom where they won't look, Eliza once said, and the phrase stuck. A quiet rebellion against a world that tries to erase you. The saloon grows louder, more miners arriving, their voices blending into a low roar. Jasper switches to a slower tune, its notes a backdrop to the clinking glasses and shuffling feet. You move through the crowd, your smile fixed, offering a laugh here, a light touch there. But your eyes are sharp, noting who's drunk, who's flush with gold, who might turn mean. It's a skill you've learned from watching Eliza, who can read a man's mood in a glance. Watch that one, she whispers, nodding toward a prospector with a scarred cheek. Paid last time but got rough, best keep Leela away. You nod, passing the warning to Hannah, who'll tell Violet. A chain of protection that operates without fanfare. These small acts of care are your currency, more valuable than the gold dust you earn, because they keep you safe, sane, human. Madame Clara watches from the edge of the room, her presence a steady anchor. She's not soft, her rules are iron, pay up front, no fighting, no stealing. But she's fairer than most madams. You've heard stories of others, women beaten for shorting a client, locked in rooms until debts are paid, but Clara's different. her pragmatism tempered by a grudging loyalty to her girls. She's been in your shoes as Shadow Rose in Denver years ago, and though she rarely speaks of it, you see it in her eyes when she hands out extra stew or slips a coin to a girl too sick to work. Brought in a new supplier, she says, passing you whiskey's cheaper now might ease the ledger. Her focus on profit is relentless, but it's what keeps the Starlight Rose standing, a haven compared to the cribs down the street where women work in squalor for half your rate. The ledger, a heavy book she keeps locked in her room, is the house's heartbeat, tracking every dollar, every expense, a reminder that your world runs on numbers as much as charm. A commotion at the door pulls your attention to men in dusty coats, not miners but merchants, their boots polished, their faces clean. They're rarer clients, men with steady incomes, less likely to brawl but harder to please. Lilla's already moving toward them, her smile dazzling. But Madame Clara intercepts Eliza. "Take the tall one," she says. "He's got a contract with the Assy office, pays steady." Eliza nods, her face shifting into a practiced warmth, and you marvel at her skill. The way she can summon charm despite the exhaustion you know she feels. You take the other merchant, guiding him to a table, your voice light, "Been in Deadwood long?" You ask, though you barely hear his answer, your mind on the rhythm of the room, the balance of safety and profit. The merchant's presence shifts the mood, miners eyeing them with a mix of envy and resentment. Class lines as sharp here as in any eastern city. You've learned to navigate these tensions, keeping conversations neutral, smiles universal, because a wrong word can spark a fight, and fights mean trouble for everyone. Had a preacher in here last week, Hannah mutters, sliding past with a tray of drinks, railing about sin till he saw Violet, then he was all whispers and gold. You stifle a laugh, the hypocrisy of familiar sting. Preachers counsel men. Even lawmen frequent the Starlight Rose, their public scorn a mask for private indulgence. It's a secret everyone knows, but no one speaks, a pact that keeps the town's wheels turning. You recall a story Amos told, how a brothel in Cheyenne funded a schoolhouse, only for the teacher to ban the women from its opening. The memory bitter but unsurprising. The night deepens, the saloon a blur of motion and sound, but within it, your community holds strong. You catch Violet sharing a quick joke with Mary, their laughter a rare spark, and feel a warmth that defies the cold judgment outside. These women, your sisters in all but blood, are your shield, their stories woven with yours. Eliz's dream of a tailoring shop, Lilla's hope for a husband who doesn't ask questions, Hannah's quiet plan to save for a boarding house. Their fragile dreams often crushed by debt or disease, but you hold them close, whispering them in stolen moments like the time you and Eliza sat on the stairs, sharing a cigarette, talking of cities you'll never see. Got a new client coming tomorrow, Madame Clara says, pulling you aside, stagecoach driver. Steady run from Sydney, keep him happy. He's got friends. You nod, filing the information away. Knowing a reliable client means steady pay, a step closer to whatever future you dare imagine. Clara's knack for connections, her ability to charm suppliers, lawmen, even rival madams, is what keeps the Starlight Rose above the fray, a house respected, if not loved. In Deadwood's tangled social web, you've seen her negotiate with the marshal. Her voice calm but firm, ensuring protection without groveling, a skill you hope to learn, though you pray you'll never need it. The piano slows, Jasper's fingers stumbling over a ballad, and you use the moment to slip to the bar, your throat dry from talking. Amos hands you a glass of water, not whiskey. He knows you avoid it when you can. Save it for the clients, he says, grinning, and you return a tired smile. Grateful for his small kindnesses. Water is a luxury, cleaner than the creek sludge most drink, and you sip it slowly, savoring the clarity. Across the room, a miner stumbles, spilling his drink, and Violet's there in an instant. Her laugh diffusing the tension. "Oh, Sam, you're making a river," she teases, steering him to a chair. It's a performance, but it's also protection, keeping the peace to keep you all safe. You've all learned these tricks, how to soothe a temper, dodge a fist, turn a threat into a laugh. Skills passed from woman to woman, a legacy of survival. The social web extends beyond the Starlight Rose, touching every corner of Deadwood. You know the baker who sells you day-old bread at half price winking as he slips an extra loaf into your basket. The laundry woman who takes your linens without a sneer, the apothecary who sells you herbs under the counter. These allies, rare and precious, are part of your network. Their quiet support a lifeline in a town that thrives on your labor but denies your humanity. You recall a night when the baker's wife brought soup to the back door, her husband sick. Asking for Violet's help, she'd heard Shadow Rose's no remedies, and Violet went no questions. Asked returning with a few coins and a story she wouldn't share. These moments, small and unspoken, are the glue that binds you to Deadwood, a town that needs you more than it admits. The saloon's rhythm shifts, fewer miners now, the early crowd thinning. As the night shift ends and the day shift begins, you lean against the bar, your feet aching, your smile still in place, and catch Liz's eye. She's pouring a drink for a merchant, her movements fluid, but you see the strain in her shoulders, the same exhaustion you feel. Need a break? She mouths and you nod, taking her place for a moment. The merchant barely noticing the switch, to deepen his whiskey to care. It's a small act, but it's everything. A promise to carry each other when the weight grows too heavy. Madame Clara passes, her ledger tucked under her arm. Good work tonight, she says, voice low. Keep it up, we're ahead for once. It's rare praise she gives, and you hold it close. A reminder that your efforts matter, not just to her, but for the house. For the women who depend on you as you depend on them. The piano stops, Jasper stretching his hands, and the room quiets. A brief silence broken by a miner's cough, loud and wet, a sound that makes everyone tense. Disease is your shadow, tuberculosis. Smallpox as deadly as the Black Curse, and you're all too aware of it. Every cough a potential threat. Violet's at the man's side, her smile unwavering. Let's get you a fresh drink, she says, guiding him to the door, her eyes signaling to Amos, who nods. He'll be watched, kept away until he's sure he's safe. It's another layer of your community's vigilance, a shared responsibility to protect the house, because one sick woman can bring it all down. You return to the bar, your mind drifting to the morning when you'll gather again, share coffee, mend dresses, trade stories, the cycle of survival starting anew. The social web of the Starlight Rose, fragile yet unbreakable, is what keeps you. A tapestry of trust, care, and quiet defiance, woven into the fabric of a town that needs you but won't name you. As the night winds down, you feel a breath of calm, not peace, but something close, the strength of the women around you, their shadows dancing long in the lamplight, ready for whatever comes next. Let the soft hum of your surroundings pull you deeper into calm, your breath slowing as the world fades. You're with History Orbit, where we spin gentle tales of the past to guide you towards sleep. The Starlight Rose Brothel in Deadwood, South Dakota, 1876, is quiet now. The saloon's lamps burning low as the last miners stumble into the night. The air carries the faint sting of whiskey and the dust that never settles, a reminder of the town's restless pulse. You stand near the bar, your green dress slightly crumpled, the vial of carbolic acid in your pocket a small weight against your thigh. Eliza leans nearby, her burgundy skirt catching the lamplight, her eyes tired but sharp, watching the room as Jasper, the piano player, packs up his sheet music. Madame Clara moves through the shadows, her ledger tucked under her arm, her voice a low murmur as she counts the night's earnings with Amos. The Shadow Roses, as you and the other women are called, share a fleeting moment of stillness, a pause before the cycle begins again. But beneath this quiet lies a constant threat, the specter of illness that haunts every touch, every breath in this crowded, unforgiving world. As the saloon empties, you turn to the rituals that guard your health, the fragile defenses that keep you and your sisters alive. Close your eyes, imagine the cool touch of a glass vial in your hand, and let this steady tale carry you closer to rest. The miner's cough from earlier, loud and wet, still echoes in your mind, a warning that sets everyone on edge. Disease is your shadow, as ever present as the dust on your dress, and in 1876. Medicine is more hope than science. You slip upstairs, the creaking stairs familiar under your feet, and join the others in the cramped bedroom where the air smells of rosewater and lye. Violet sits on her bed, unpinning her hair, her ribbon loose in her lap. "That cough didn't sound good," she says, her voice low, almost lost in the rustle of skirts. Hannah nods, her face pale in the dim light. "Probably just a cold, but we can't take chances." The women exchange glances, a silent agreement to watch the miner, to warn others if he returns, because a single illness could spread through the house like fire through dry grass. Tuberculosis, smallpox, diphtheria. These are the unseen enemies that claim lives as surely as a miner's knife. But it's the black curse, syphilis, that you fear most. It's slow poison, a death sentence in a world with no cure. Madame Clara appears in the doorway, her silhouette broad and steady. "Doc Ellis is coming tomorrow," she says, weekly checks, no exceptions. Her tone is firm, but there's a trace of concern, rare for her, because a healthy house means profit, and a sick one means ruin. Doc Ellis, a weary man with a stained coat and a bag of battered tools, is one of the few physicians in Deadwood willing to treat shadow roses without judgment, though his visits come at a price $5 a head more than a week's wages for a seamstress. You've seen him before, his hands steady but cold, his eyes avoiding yours as he checks for sores, swelling, the telltale signs of disease. You'll line up in the morning, one by one, in a small room off the kitchen where a curtain offers the illusion of privacy. The memory of his last visit lingers, the sharp sting of his speculum, the burn of vinegar washes he prescribes. A ritual as routine as washing linens, but far more intimate. You sit on the edge of your bed next to Eliza and pull the vial of carbolic acid from your pocket. It smells sharp and medicinal. After every client, Madame Clara's rule, you use it diluted in water. A burning rinse that's supposed to kill whatever the men bring. Though you've heard whispers it does little against the black curse, still, you follow the routine, pouring a few drops into a tin cup, mixing it with water from the chipped basin, the liquid cloudy from earlier use. Eliza does the same, her movements practiced, her face set. "We do what we can," she says, her voice a quiet anchor. You nod, the act of small rebellion against the fear that gnaws at you, because in this life, control is scarce and these rituals, imperfect as they are yours. Across the room, Mary opens a cloth packet of herbs, the tansy and pennyroyal she shared earlier, and measures a pinch into a kettle for tea. The herbs, bitter and dangerous, are your shield against pregnancy, a risk as deadly as disease. A child means no work, no income, a one-way path to the cribs or worse. And though the tea makes your stomach churn, you drink it, as you did this morning. Its taste lingering like regret. Leela, barely 16, watches with wide eyes, her hands twisting in her lap. "Is it safe?" she asks, her voice small. "Safe enough," Hannah replies, her tone gentle but firm. "Better than the alternative. You've all heard stories of women who didn't take precautions, their lives unraveling in months, abandoned by families, shunned by the town. The herbs are a gamble. Too much can poison you, but you weigh the odds, just as you do with every choice in the Starlight Rose." The room fills with the faint scent of brewing tea, a sharp contrast to the rosewater and lye, and you pour a cup, the warmth soothing against the night's chill. Downstairs, Amos sweeps the saloon, the soft scrape of his broom a distant rhythm, while Jasper's piano sits silent, its keys waiting for tomorrow. You sip the tea, wincing at its bitterness, and feel the weight of the day settle into your bones. Health isn't just about your body, it's about your mind, your spirit, and the constant strain of smiling through fear wears you down as much as any fever. You recall a girl from last year, Rose, her name a cruel irony, who caught the black curse and disappeared, her fate unspoken but heavy in the room's silence. Madame Clara sits at the table, her ledger open, but her eyes are on you all. "Keep your strength up," she says. "We've got a busy week." Her words are practical, but they carry a weight, a reminder that your health is the house's foundation, and she'll protect it as fiercely as her profits. You've learned other tricks, passed from woman to woman, a quiet law of survival. Violet pulls a small linen square from her pocket, This helps, she says, showing you how to fold it. A barrier for clients, not foolproof but better than nothing. You've used them before, thin strips of cloth soaked in vinegar, a practice older than any of you. Whispered about in hushed tones when Madame Clara isn't listening. The vinegar stings, but it's a small price and you share the linens, cutting them from old sheets. Another task woven into your mornings. Hannah mentions a salve, beeswax and herbs bought from an apothecary who doesn't ask questions. It suits the sores, she says, but don't let Clara know, she thinks it's a waste. You file the information away. Another piece of the Shadow Rose's knowledge. A patchwork of remedies that keep you going. The weekly checks with Doc Ellis are the cornerstone, though. His visits a ritual you both dread and rely on. You remember his last examination, the clink of his glass vials, the sharp smell of alcohol as he swabbed his tools, his voice flat as he listed symptoms to watch for: fever, rash, swelling glands. Syphilis in its early stages might show only a sore, easily missed, but left untreated. It creeps deeper, eating at your body, your mind until you're a ghost of yourself. His treatments, when needed, are brutal. Mercury pills that make your mouth taste of metal, your hands tremble, your teeth loosen. You've seen women take them, their faces gaunt, their spirits broken, and you pray you'll never need them. Eliza, ever practical, keeps a notebook, a small ledger of her own, where she tracks symptoms, not just hers but yours, Hannah's, Violet's, a quiet act of care that binds you closer. She's marked a client to avoid, a drifter who came through last month. Left sores on a girl at the gym, she says, her voice low. We can't let him back. You nod, the warning spreading like a ripple. Each woman alert, because your health is collective, a chain only as strong as its weakest link. The air grows cooler as the night deepens. The window cracked to let in a breeze that carries the scent of pine and dust. You wrap a shawl around your shoulders, its wool rough but warm, and sit with Leela, who's still shaken from the miner's cough. Tell me about St. Louis, she says, her voice soft, and you realize she's asking about Eliz's home, a place she rarely speaks of. Eliza glances over, her hands pausing on her needlework. Not much to tell, she says, but her voice softens and she shares a fragment, a river so wide it felt like an ocean. Steamboats all day and night. It's a rare gift, this glimpse into her past, and you listen, the story a bomb against the night's fears. Health challenges extend beyond disease. Exhaustion is a constant companion, the long hours, the forced smiles, the endless vigilance wearing you down. You've learned to steal rest when you can, a nap in the afternoon, a moment leaning against the bar. But sleep is never enough, and the laudanum bottle tempts you, its promise of oblivion a siren's call. Violet's hand trembles as she reaches for it, just to drop, she says, to take the edge off. And you don't judge because you've all been there, balancing relief against ruin. Madame Clara keeps the bottle locked away, doling it out sparingly. She's seen too many women fall to it, their lives slipping away in a haze. You recall her warning, given your first week, use it once, you'll want it forever. And you've held back, though the weight of each day tests your resolve. The kitchen below is quiet now, the stewpot scrubbed, the table cleared, but you hear Amos moving, stoking the stove for tomorrow's breakfast. His presence is a comfort, his limp a reminder of his own hard years in the mines, a shared understanding that needs no words. You've heard him talk of a sister in Denver, a seamstress who sends him letters, and you wonder if he sees her in you, in Eliza, in the others, women fighting to survive in a world that offers little mercy. The apothecary's remedies, the vinegar washes, the linen barriers, they're all part of your arsenal, but trust is your strongest weapon. You trust Eliza to watch for dangerous clients, Hannah to share her salve, Violet to brew the tea just right. This trust, built through late-night whispers and shared chores, is what keeps you whole, a shield against the diseases that threaten your body and the despair that threatens your soul. Madame Clara reappears, her face softer in the lamplight. Get some rest, she says. Doc's early tomorrow, and we've got a stagecoach crew coming after. You nod, the promise of rest a distant hope, but her words carry weight. a reminder that she's invested in your survival, not just her profits. The women begin to settle, Leela curling up on her bed, her breathing slow, Hannah folding her shawl with care, Violet humming a tune you don't recognize. You lie back, the mattress sagging beneath you, and pull the rough blanket close. The vial of carbolic acid still in your pocket, a small talisman against the night. The health challenges you face, the black curse, tuberculosis, the toxic remedies, are a constant hum in your life, but so are the measures you take, the washes, the herbs, the quiet warnings, the doctor's visits. They're imperfect, often painful, but they're yours, a testament to your resilience, your refusal to break. As the room grows still, the sounds of Deadwood fading outside, you feel the weight of the day lift, just a little, carried by the knowledge that you're not alone, that the shadow roses stand together, guarding each other's health, each other's lives. In a world that offers no promises, the lamp flickers, casting long shadows across the room, and you close your eyes, letting the rhythm of your sister's breathing guide you toward sleep. Feel the gentle pull of your blankets, the quiet of your room wrapping around you like a whisper. You're with History Orbit, where we spin the past into soothing tales to ease you into sleep. The Starlight Rose Brothel in Deadwood, South Dakota, 1876, rests in the stillness of the late night, the saloon's lamps dimmed to a soft glow, the light barely reaching the corners where shadows pull. You lie on your sagging mattress, the rough blanket pulled close, the faint smell of carbolic acid clinging to your fingers from the vial in your pocket. The room is quiet, save for Leela's slow breathing beside you and the occasional creak of the floor as Violet shifts. In her sleep, downstairs, Amos stokes the kitchen stove, its faint crackle carrying through the thin walls. A reminder of the morning to come. Madame Clara's voice lingers in your mind. Her words about Doc Ellis's visit and the stagecoach crew drifting through the haze. Get some rest. She said, "We've got a busy week, but rest is fleeting." Your thoughts already turning to the coins in your pocket. The ledger Madame Clara guards so fiercely. The dollars that keep this house running and your dreams, however faint, alive. The health rituals you and the shadow roses practice, the vinegar washes. The bitter teas are only half the battle, the other half is money. The lifeblood of the Starlight Rose, a business as carefully balanced as the smiles you wear. As the night softens into dawn, you rise drawn to the kitchen where the day's work begins. Not just the labor of charm, but the quiet arithmetic of survival, the numbers that bind you to this place, and maybe offer a way out. The stairs creak under your feet, the same worn boards you've tread countless times, their familiar groan blending with the distant clatter of Deadwood waking. In the kitchen, Madame Clara sits at the scarred wooden table, her ledger open, a single lamp casting a warm circle around her. Her pen scratches softly, tallying the night's earnings, 60% to the girls, 40 to the house, a split that sounds generous until you count the costs: water, soap, whiskey, protection money to keep the marshal at bay. You pause at the doorway, watching her work, her brow furrowed as she notes a miner's tab. Unpaid since last week. Morning, she says without looking up. Coffee's on. Grab some before Hannah drinks it all. You smile, the small jest a thread of warmth in the early chill, and pour a tin mug of coffee. Its bitterness sharp but grounding. The kitchen smells of grease and wood smoke. The stove's heat a faint comfort against the draft seeping through the walls. Hannah joins you, her hair still loose, a rare moment of ease before the day's rush. Stagecoach crew's coming today, she says, sipping her coffee. Clara's hoping for a big night. You nod, knowing a steady crew means steady pay, a chance to add to the small stash. You keep hidden under a loose floorboard dreams of a dress shop, a boarding house, a life where you're not a shadow rose. The Starlight Rose is a business, not just a brothel. Its operations a complex dance of income and expense, profit and survival. Madame Clara runs it with a precision that would shame any banker. Her ledger a map of the house's life. You've seen her haggle with suppliers, her voice calm but unyielding, securing whiskey at $1 less per barrel, soap at half the usual rate. Last week, she struck a deal with a laundry woman, trading a bottle of tonic for cheaper linens. Every penny saved a buffer against lean nights. You sit across from her, the coffee warm in your hands, and watch her flip a page. Her fingers stained with ink. Water's up to $10 a week, she says, almost to herself, and the marshal wants another $50 to look the other way. Her words are a reminder of the costs you all carry, the fees that eat into your earnings, leaving less for the future you dream of. Eliza slips into the room, her green dress already on, her eyes sharp despite the late night. She's saving for Cheyenne, you know. Her tailoring shop at plan she's whispered about in stolen moments, 3 more months, she'd said. Her voice steady but distant. You've done the math. $1 a client, maybe 5 clients a night if it's busy. Minus the house's cut, minus your share of expenses, it's a slow climb. But she's closer than most. Got enough for a new needle yet? You ask and she smiles, faint but real. Almost, she says. Found a catalog in the general store. Might order one from St. Louis. Her dream is a spark, one you all guard, because hope is as scarce as clean water in Deadwood. The saloon beyond the kitchen is still, the sawdust swept, the glass is polished. But you know it'll come alive soon, the stagecoach crew bringing noise and coin. Amos appears, his limp more pronounced in the morning, carrying a crate of bottles, new whiskey. He says, Clara got it cheap, should last the week. You help him stack them behind the bar, the glass cool under your fingers. Each bottle a piece of the house's economy. Whiskey is more than a drink here, it's a tool, loosening tongues, opening wallets, dulling the edges of men's loneliness. But it's costly, 1/3 of the house's expenses some weeks. And you've seen Madame Clara pour it carefully, watering it down just enough to stretch without losing customers. The economy of the Starlight Rose is a delicate balance. Every dollar earned weighed against the costs of survival. You've heard Clara talk of her investments, a stake in a bakery down the street, a loan to a carpenter who pays her back in furniture, a web of deals that keeps her ahead of rival madams. She's not just a madam, she's an entrepreneur, a fact that sets her apart in a town where most see only her trade. You've seen her slip coins to a girl too sick to work, not out of kindness but strategy. A healthy house earns more, and Clara knows it. Still, it's a kindness however calculated, and you're grateful for it. Because in the cribs down the street, sick girls are turned out with nothing. The morning unfolds, the women gathering in the kitchen, their tusks blending into the house's rhythm. Leela mends a torn curtain, her fingers clumsy but earnest, while Violet counts out coins from last night, her share carefully tucked into a tin box. You help Hannah scrub the bar, the wood smooth under your cloth, the smell of soap sharp in your nose. These chores, mundane and endless, are part of the business, keeping the Starlight Rose cleaner, safer, more inviting than the saloons nearby. You've heard miners talk, comparing houses, the gems to rough, they say. The Bella Union's too pricey, but Clara's place, it's got something, maybe it's the coffee. You smile at that, knowing it's more than coffee, it's the care you all put in. The polish on the glasses, the swept floors, the smiles you force through exhaustion. Madame Clara moves to the saloon, her ledger under her arm, checking the stock of candles. Their wax a small but constant expense. We're low, she says, make end last, no need to light all the lamps tonight. You nod, knowing every choice is a calculation. Candles versus profit, water versus whiskey, survival versus dreams. The stagecoach crew will be here soon. Their arrival a chance to tip the balance in your favor, but also a risk. New faces mean new tempers, new diseases, new debts. You've learned to spot the ones who pay well, the ones who don't, the ones who'll cause trouble. Elizabeth's taught you that, her eyes quick to catch a man's mood. Her warnings whispered as you pass in the crowd. Keep an eye on the driver, she says now, joining you at the bar. Heard he's flush but rough. Make sure he pays up front. You nod, tucking the vial of carbolic acid deeper into your pocket. A reminder of the health rituals that protect your earnings as much as your body. The business of the Starlight Rose isn't just about the clients, it's about the town. The web of connections that keep it standing. You've seen Clara pay off the marshal, her coins buying silence, protection. A blind eye to the fights that sometimes spill into the street. You've heard her talk with the baker, the laundry woman, the apothecary. each deal a thread in the house's survival. Last month, she paid for a new school teacher's lodging, a quiet favor that earned her a nod from the town council, a rare acknowledgement of her influence. The Starlight Rose, like other brothels, is a silent partner in Deadwood's growth. Its fees funding roads, schools, even the church whose preacher avoids your eyes. You've learned to navigate this hypocrisy, smiling at merchants who scorn you in daylight but visit at night, nodding to wives who clutch their skirts as you pass. It's a bitter trade, but it's yours, and the coins you earn, however hard-won, are a path to something more. You pause at the bar, your hands still damp from scrubbing, and watch Leela practice her smile. Her youth a draw for clients, but a weight on her heart. She's saving too, though she doesn't say for what. Her dreams vaguer than a Liz's, but no less fierce. You've all got plans. Fragile as the candles Clara rations, Hannah wants a boarding house, Violet talks of a farm. Mary just wants enough to leave, anywhere but here. The money's good, better than a laundress's $1 a week. But it's never enough, the house is cut. The doctor's fees, the cost of soap and water eat away at every dollar. You've got your own stash, a few coins under the floorboard. Each one a step toward a life you can barely imagine. A dress shop, maybe. Or a ticket to San Francisco where the air doesn't choke with dust. The saloon begins to stir, Jasper tuning the piano, its notes uneven but familiar. A signal that the day is shifting toward evening. Amos sets out glasses, his movements slow but steady, and you help. The routine as familiar as your own heartbeat. Madame Clara passes, her ledger closed now, her eyes on the door. Stagecoach will be here soon. She says, keep the place sharp, they talk and talk brings business. You nod, smoothing your dress, checking your rouge. The small acts of preparation for the night's work. The Stagecoach crew is a chance, not just for you, but for the house. Their coins a boost to the ledger, a buffer against the lean days when miners drink more than they pay. You've seen Clara's books once, a rare glimpse when she left them open, pages filled with neat rows. Whiskey, water, candles, bribes, each line a piece of your life. She's invested in more than the brothel. You know her stake in the bakery is secret she guards. But you've seen the fresh bread she brings, a quiet perk for her girls, a reminder that she's planning for a future just like you. The kitchen fills with the smell of stew, a thin mix of potatoes and salt pork. But better than the hardtack most in Deadwood eat. You sit with the others, spoons scraping tin bowls, the meal a brief pause before the night begins. Talk turns to money, as it always does, Hannah mentioning a client who tipped extra. A rare windfall she'll split with Violet, who covered for her last week. It's how you survive, sharing what you can, knowing the house's success depends on all of you. Eliza eats quietly, her eyes on her bowl. But you know she's counting, always counting. Her dream of shying closer with every coin. You feel a pang, not jealousy, but awe. Her focus a beacon you try to follow. The stew is gone too quickly, the coffee cold. But you linger, the table a rare place of ease, where you're not shadow roses, just women, sharing a moment before the world demands your performance. Madame Clara joins you, her presence grounding. We're ahead this month, she says. Might get new linens soon. It's a small victory, but you feel it, a shared triumph that makes the night's work bearable. The Stagecoach crew will arrive soon, their boots loud on the porch, their voices carrying tales of the road, and you'll be ready, your smile fixed, your heart steady, because this is the business of the Starlight Rose, a world of numbers and dreams where every coin is a step towards something more and every night is a chance to keep the house and yourself alive. Let the gentle weight of your blankets cradle you, the quiet of your room a soft cocoon pulling you towards sleep. You're with History Orbit, where we weave tales of the past so soothing they guide you into dreams. The Starlight Rose brothel in Deadwood, South Dakota, 1876, hums with the early evening's promise. The saloon's lamps casting a warm glow across the polished glasses and freshly swept sawdust. You stand near the bar, your green dress smoothed, the faint scent of rose water clinging to your skin, a trace of carbolic acid still tucked in your pocket from last night's rituals. The Stagecoach crew's arrival looms, their boots soon to echo on the porch. bringing coins and chatter to the Starlight Rose. Eliza leans against the counter, her burgundy skirt catching the light, her eyes scanning the door with practiced calm while Leela adjusts her ribbon, her smile ready but her hands nervous. Amos stacks bottles behind the bar, his limp softened by the rhythm of his work, and Jasper tunes the piano, its tinny notes a familiar prelude to the night. Madame Clara moves through the room, her ledger under her arm, her voice low as she murmurs to Hannah about the cruise driver. Make sure he pays up front. She says, he's got a reputation. The air carries the sharp tang of whiskey and the ever-present dust of Deadwood, a town built on gold and ambition where you, a shadow rose, balance survival with dreams of something more. The coins in your pocket earned through nights of forced smiles are a quiet promise, a hope shared with Eliza who dreams of a tailoring shop in Cheyenne, or Leela whose vague wishes for a husband flicker like the lamps. But tonight as the saloon prepares to open, your thoughts drift beyond the immediate to the past that might lead you out of this life to the legacies you and the shadow roses leave in a town that needs you but one to name you. Imagine the creak of the saloon door, the soft clink of coins changing hands, and let this tale carry you deeper into rest. The stagecoach crew bursts in, their voices loud with tales of the road, their pockets heavy with wages from the Sydney run. You move through the crowd, your smile fixed, guiding a driver to a table, his coat dusty but his eyes sharp. Evening, you say, voice light, keeping the conversation neutral, a skill honed through months of dodging tempers. Eliza's warning about the driver echoes in your mind, and you signal to Violet, who nods, ready to step in if he turns rough. The saloon fills with laughter, the piano's notes weaving through the noise, and you feel the house's rhythm, a machine of charm and commerce, fueled by the coins that flow like water. But these coins, hard-won, are more than payment. They're a bridge to a future you can barely see, a future where you're not defined by the Shadow Rose name. You glance at Eliza, pouring a drink for a merchant, her movements steady, her dream of Cheyenne a quiet fire that burns brighter with every dollar saved. She's close now, you know, her stash under the floorboard growing, her notebook tracking not just symptoms but coins, a ledger of hope. Got a letter from a seamstress in Cheyenne, she told you last week. Voice soft in the pre-dawn quiet, says there's work if I can get there. It's a fragile plan, but it's hers, and you've seen her mend dresses with a precision that promises success. Her stitches small and sure, a contrast to the chaos of this life. Leela, at the other end of the bar, laughs with a young miner her youth adore, but you see the strain in her eyes, the weight of dreams she doesn't yet know how to name. Maybe a husband, she'd said once, someone kind who doesn't ask where I've been. It's a child's hope, but you guard it because in the Starlight Rose, dreams are currency, shared in whispers, protected in silence. The night unfolds, the saloon a blur of motion, but you steal moments to think of what comes next, the transitions that might free you from this life. You've heard stories of women who left, not many, but enough to kindle hope. A shadow rose in Denver who opened a boarding house, another in San Francisco who married a shopkeeper, her past buried in the city's fog. Madame Clara knows these stories too, her own past a shadow rose in Denver, a fact she never speaks but carries in her steady gaze. She's helped women leave before, you've seen it. A girl named Jane who worked here last year, now running a bakery in Laramie, her departure quiet but supported. Clara slipping her coins for the stagecoach, a rare act of faith in a world that demands payment for everything. I don't keep them here forever, Clara said once, her voice low, but you've got to earn your way out. Her words are a challenge, a promise, and you feel them now, as you count your coins in the quiet moments, each one a step toward a life where you're not a shadow rose. The saloon grows louder, the stagecoach crew's stories filling the air, tales of broken axles and narrow escapes from bandits. You listen, your smile in place, but your mind is on the ledger, the one Madame Clara keeps and the one you keep in your head. Your earnings, $1 a client, maybe more if they're generous, are split with the house. 60% yours, but the expenses, water, soap, doctor's fees, eat away at it. You've saved enough for a train ticket, maybe, or a month's rent somewhere new. But not enough for a shop. Not yet. Hannah, across the room, shares her own plans, a boarding house in Omaha, she says. Her voice firm despite the whiskey haze. She's saved more than you, her tin box heavier, her nights longer. Because she takes the rougher clients, the ones you and Lee avoid. It's a choice, a sacrifice, and you respect it. Because every path out is paved with such trade-offs. Violet, quieter, dreams of a farm, a plot of land where she can grow her own herbs. Not for teas that burn your throat, but for healing, for peace. Her hands, calloused from scrubbing linens, are gentle when she tends to you. Dabbing salve on a bruise, and you believe she could make it if the world allows. Mary, the newest, doesn't speak of dreams, her eyes distant, but you've seen her tuck coins away. Her silence a plan in itself. The Starlight Rose is a place of endings as much as beginnings, and you've seen women come and go. Some to better lives, others to the cribs or worse, their fate's a warning and a spur. You recall a night last month, sitting with Eliza on the back porch, the air cool, the stars sharp above Deadwood's chaos. She'd shared a cigarette, the smoke curling between you, and talked of her sister, a seamstress who'd written her off, but also of a shop in Cheyenne, a place where she could sew in peace. No clients, no ledger, just thread and cloth. I'll send for her one day, she said. Maybe she'll forgive me then. Her words stayed with you, a reminder that leaving isn't just about money. It's about reclaiming a life the world tried to take. You've heard Clara talk of her own plans, a boarding house in Denver, maybe, or a share in a mine. Her investments, the bakery, the carpenter's loan, a safety net for when the Starlight Rose fades. She's practical, her dreams grounded in numbers, but you see the spark in her. The same one that drives Eliza, that drives you. The saloon's rhythm shifts, the stagecoach crew thinning as the night wears on, their coins lighter, their stories slurred. You slip to the bar, your feet aching, and Amos hands you a glass of water, his smile crooked, but kind. Save the whiskey for them, he says, and you nod, grateful for the clarity. The water is cool, a rare treat, and you sip it slowly, watching Violet guide a drunk driver to the door, her laugh light, but her grip firm. She's good at this, keeping the peace without breaking the illusion, a skill you're still learning. Eliza joins you, her face tired but resolute. Made enough tonight, she says, might be time to book that ticket. Her words are a spark, a reminder that transitions are possible, that the Starlight Rose, for all its weight, is not forever. Madame Clara moves through the room, her ledger closed, her eyes on the women. Good night, ladies. She says, voice softer than usual, rest up, we've got miners tomorrow. It's a rare moment, her guard down, and you see the woman behind the madam, the one who's walked this path, who knows its costs and its fleeting joys. The piano falls silent, Jasper gone, the saloon empty save for the shadow roses and Amos, sweeping the sawdust into neat piles. You help, the broom's rhythm soothing, a final task before the night ends. Upstairs, the bedroom waits. Its cramped space a haven despite the sagging mattresses and chipped basin. You climb the stairs with Leela, her steps slow, her ribbon loose in her hand. She's quieter now, the night's work heavy on her, but you touch her arm, a silent promise, and she smiles, faint but real. The others are already there. Hannah folding her shawl, Violet brewing a last cup of tea, Mary staring at the ceiling, her thoughts her own. You lie down, the blanket rough but warm, and feel the house settle around you. Its creaks and sighs a lullaby. The Starlight Rose is more than a brothel, it's a legacy not just of survival, but of resilience, of women who carved a place in a town that scorned them, who funded its schools, its roads, its churches without ever being named. You think of Jane, now baking bread in Laramie, her life a quiet triumph of Clara's investments, her unseen hand shaping Deadwood's future, of Liz's ticket to Cheyenne, a dream so close you can almost touch it. Your own dreams, a dress shop, a city far from dust, flicker in the dark, fragile but alive. The shadow roses, as you call yourselves, are a community, a web of trust and defiance. And though the world may forget you, you carry each other's stories, each other's hopes. As the lamp dims, Its light fading into the night, you close your eyes. The sounds of Deadwood softening to a hum, the clatter of wagons, the distant bark of a dog, the whisper of wind through the pines. You're not just a shadow rose, you're a thread in a tapestry woven with Liz's stitches. Lila's laughter, Clara's ledger, a legacy that lingers in the streets you helped build the lives. You touch the dreams you dared to dream. The Starlight Rose will stand for now, its lamps burning, its doors open, but you know, as sleep pulls you under, that your story doesn't end here. That's somewhere, beyond the dust and the darkness. A new dawn waits, soft and sure, carrying you forward into rest, into hope, into a world where shadows bloom into light.